Right, in section 11.5, we are going to start talking about what a permutation is. And a permutation is an arrangement of objects in which your order is important. So, for example, they might ask you, if we have a race with 50 runners, what are the possible ways that you could finish first, second, or third? How many different combinations could there be where you finish first, second, or third? Well, order is important there because obviously the first one that crosses the line is first, and then second, and then third. Or if you're going to select from a pool of candidates, you're going to select a president, a vice president, or a secretary. Those is where order, those types of situations, order would matter. Okay. Example 1 here, it says list the possible permutations of the 3 letters A, B, and C. So take a minute, pause your video. How many different ways could you arrange A, B, and C? Well, I could do A, B, C, or I could start with A but do C and then B. Or I could say, no, I'm going to start with the letter B and then I'm going to go A and then C. Or I could start with B and then go C and then A. Or I could start with the letter C, go A, B, start with C and go B, A. So there's a total of 6 different ways that you could arrange those 3 values. Now another way to calculate that would be to think about, okay, if I'm going to take 3 letters, okay, when I choose my first letter in my arrangement, I have 3 choices. I could choose the A, the B, or the C. So I've got 3 choices with that. When you take that times, when I pick out my second letter, well, I've already chosen 1 letter, so now I only have 2 letters left to choose from. And when I choose my third letter, there's only 1 remaining. So if you take 3 times 2 times 1, you get a total of 6. And you can see that there were 6 different arrangements here. Okay, we can do the same thing with the letters July. If I wrote out how many different arrangements, it's going to take I'm going to get a few more different ones. But if I follow this pattern, I'm going to arrange 4 letters. I've got 4 choices for the first, followed by 3 choices for the second, followed by 2 choices, and lastly there would be 1 left. So if I multiply that out, 4 times 3 is 12, times 2, I could write out 24 different combinations. Okay, there'd be 24 different permutations. And how many ways can you arrange 2 of the letters? Well, if I were to pick just 2 of them and do their arrangements, how many could I come up with? And we're going to come back to that question. Okay, what you're seeing up here, this 3 times 2 times 1, 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, that's called a factorial in math. For any positive integer, the product of the integers from 1 to n written as n factorial. So when it says evaluate 6 factorial, that means we're going to start with the number 6, and we're just going to go 1 less each time, and we are multiplying in between. So we do 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, you have a key on your calculator that is a factorial key. It looks like an exclamation point. And if you hit that, I'm going to go grab a calculator here real quick. If you're using one of my calculators, your factorial key is above the 3. And so I would just put in the number 6 first, and then I would hit Shift, and then 3. That's my factorial key, and you get a total of 720. So that's how factorial. Now, a permutation has a formula, and we actually have a permutation key on our calculator, and it's a capital P, okay, and it has a lowercase n in front of it and a lowercase r behind it. It says NPR, or N permutation R. N represents the total number of objects that you have, and P represents the permutation, and R represents how many of those objects you're going to choose. So if I go back up to this question about the arrangements for July, it's a permutation because the arrangement or the order matters. It's a permutation. There are 4 letters in the word July, so we have 4 letters to choose from, and we're going to choose 2 of them. R is how many of those objects you're going to actually choose. So to do this on my calculator, my permutation key is above the 1, so I'm going to have to hit the Shift. But I type in the first number, which is 4, and then I hit Shift, permutation, and then I type in the second number, the 2, and I hit equals. And there's going to be 12 different ways that we could pick 2 letters out of July and arrange them. Okay, that's a permutation. You can see the formula down here has factorials in it. Okay, so n factorial divided by n minus r factorial. Okay, we're not going to use that formula because we're going to use our calculators for that. But if I had taken that same problem of 4p2 that I did up here in part B, and I wrote out it in the formula. N is the first number, so it would be 4 factorial divided by 4 minus 2. This is your N and your R, so 4 minus 2 factorial. Okay, and you could calculate it that way. Okay. You can go ahead and calculate it that way. This would be 4 factorial divided by 4 minus 2 is 2 factorial. Okay, a 4 factorial just means 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And a 2 factorial means 2 times 1. So these 1's cancel, these 2's cancel. 4 times 3 equals 12, and that's what we got up there in our packet, in our notes. Okay? So we're not going to, yes, this is the formula, but you don't need to memorize it because you've got the key on your calculator, but that's what it's doing for you. Okay, if you turn your page on your notes, just gives you some examples here to look at. Okay, it says your band has written 12 songs and plans to record 9 of them in a CD. In how many ways can you arrange the songs? Well, the song arrangement is important. Order matters, so it is a permutation. We have 12 songs, that's your N value, and we're going to record 9 of them, so you're choosing 9. So when I do this on my calculator, I type in 12, I hit my permutation key, and then I punch in 9, I hit equals, and I get a very large value. Okay, 79,833,600. Okay, that's a lot of different arrangements that we can have for that album. Find the number of ways that you can arrange He-Man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That has 5 letters in it. If I'm going to use all of the letters, I would do 5P5. Okay, so if I type in 5, hit the shift, permutation, 5 equals, I get 120. How can I arrange 2 of the letters out of that? Well, that's 5 permutation 2. So I do 5. Okay, there's 20. Okay, and then it's just asking you to evaluate 7 factorial. Remember, you have a key on your calculator that's factorial. It's an exclamation point. So you type in the number 7, and then you hit the factorial key. This is 5,040. And that's just typing in and completing with your calculator. I'm just going to let a couple more examples here. Town parade, you ride on a float with your soccer team. There's 12 floats in the parade, and their order is chosen at random. Find the probability that your float is first, and the float with the school chorus is second. Well, the probability that my float is first, my float is one of them out of the 12 floats that I have. And then we're going to take that times the float with the school chorus is second. There's 1 with the school chorus, and there's not 12 floats anymore, there's only 11 floats. So I would do 1 out of 12 times 1 out of 11, and it equals, we multiply straight across, 1 out of 132. Okay, and then lastly, on a science test, there's a section for matching 8 words and their definitions. You have not studied at all, you don't know any of the words. What's the probability that you guess all 8 correctly? Okay, so how many different combinations could you come up with for those 8? If you're randomly putting them out there, that's a permutation. So there's 8 words to choose, and you're going to line up all 8 of them. So we're going to do 8, permutation 8. So that means there are 40,320 possibilities for you arranging or matching up those 8 words. There's 40,000 possibilities. Okay, what's the probability that you guess it correctly? Well, how many of those possibilities are actually correct? And the answer is there's only 1 that's correct. So it's 1 out of 40,320 is your probability. Okay? So that's how we use permutations. Go ahead and look at that worksheet and see how it goes.